The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, and welcome to Mission Matters Live, a program focused on promoting a spirit of mission among the people of God in the Archdiocese of Chicago. My name is Megan Mio, and I'm the director of the Global Mission Office. Our engineer is Mike. You're listening to WNDZ 750 AM. Mission Matters airs on the second Wednesday of the month at 8 a.m. Central. This morning, we are talking with Antônio Carlos Tavares de Mello, the founder of Comunidade Católica Jesus Menino, or the Catholic Community of the Child Jesus in Petrópolis, Brazil, which is near Rio de Janeiro. We also have with us Júlio Egrejas, a lay missionary with 30 years of experience who now runs Betania Solidarity Services, working with this community. And these gentlemen visited two of our parishes this past summer, representing the Child Jesus community through our missionary cooperation plan. They made mission appeals to benefit this community of consecrated life, whose charism is to welcome the Child Jesus present in people with disabilities. This community was founded by Antônio, or as he's better known, Tonio, in 1990. And today the community, or family, consists of 46 children and adults with intellectual and physical disabilities, as well as consecrated men and women volunteers, and even a chaplain. We are so pleased that Zoom allows us to talk and share this story with our Chicagoland audience. We are also grateful to Júlio especially, who will help us with translation. So, good morning, Tonio and Júlio. Thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you, Megan. Good morning. Happy to be here. Thank you for having us. Ela está agradecendo a gente, Antônio, por estar aqui com ela.
Agradeço.
Hello, good morning. So I hope we can start the day talking with Tonio, the founder of the Child Jesus community. He is the adoptive father of so many children in this family. So my question is, Tonio, how did this all begin? How did you receive the call to gather this sacred community?
Antônio, como tudo isso começou, como você recebeu o chamado para reunir essa comunidade sagrada?
Então, eu sou professor de ensino religioso e eu fui trabalhar numa instituição, numa clínica, onde eu encontrei esses 200 meninos e meninas que viviam num sistema institucional. Eles eram internados, já eram crianças, algumas delas sem família, com históricos de vida muito tristes, e eu fui lá somente fazer uma festa de Natal que me pediram para mim ir lá conhecê-los.
Júlio,
acho que você poderia traduzir?
can you translate for us?
Sure, yeah. So I am a religious education teacher. After working on a clinic, I found some children were hospitalized in this clinic. Some of them living without any family, any relatives. They're with a sad life, a difficult life. And they invited me to be there and have with them a Christmas party.
Então, e lá eu pude conhecer, eu entrei para fazer a festa e um menino me convidou, o Alexandre, que hoje é um dos meus filhos, ele me convidou para que eu pudesse entrar na clínica e ser o pai dele. Ele me disse, moço, o senhor quer ser meu pai? E eu entrei e fui visitando a clínica e fui vendo que por fora era muito bonito, por dentro era muito triste. Era uma dor, era um pequeno holocausto, podemos dizer assim, onde as pessoas sofriam horrores e não eram amadas nem encontradas como pessoa humana.
Júlio,
Era esse o
So-
nosso primeiro caminho.
So he went there to spend some time with them, to have this Christmas party. Once he got there, one of the children invited him to come in, but also and then he saw that this was a outside from the outside a very beautiful place, but on the inside was a ugly, difficult, like a small Holocaust place where these children were not loved.
Eu entrei depois dessa festa e me coloquei como voluntário, trabalhando, dando ensino religioso, catequese para eles. E aí eu fui convivendo, eu fui cortando as árvores da instituição, fui começando a levar eles para as festas, fazer eventos dentro da clínica. E aí eu fui percebendo a grande preciosidade que esses meninos tinham como pessoa humana, como caráter, como vida. Então, eu acho que ali começou a minha missão de paixão para viver com eles.
So I started volunteering in this clinic.
Marcelo,
I got to know the institution, doing small jobs inside this institution, organizing some events there. And then I got to know them better as human beings. And my passion for fatherhood began.
aqui. Ô, Júlio, é que ele
Yeah.
está aqui perto de mim, que eu quero mostrar o Alexandre, o primeiro menino
Oh.
para a Mega.
And this is Alexandre. This is
Alexandre.
this is Antônio's first child. Alexandre. Hello, Alexandre.
Oh, good to meet you. Mucho gusto.
Yeah. So he was there at this clinic, and he was the one who asked Antônio if he could be his father.
Wow.
Ele era um menino na época e agora ele hoje é um jardim. Hoje está trabalhando no jardim da comunidade hoje.
Great. He was just a little boy back then, but now he's part of the community, and he usually works as a gardener. He loves gardening.
Ele é o primeiro chamado de Deus para o mundo inteiro. Ele que me fez o chamado de Deus.
So he's the one who made to me the divine calling to start this community.
Depois eu senti que eles, numa noite muito fria, eu via o sofrimento profundo dessas crianças e eu falei para Deus que ele não existia, porque era tanto sofrimento que nada ele fazia para cuidar desses meninos. Foi quando eu ouvi de Deus, eu ouvi no meu coração, na sensibilidade de 24 anos de idade que eu tinha, então dê tua vida para eles, fica nesse lugar aqui com eles, cuida deles.
So when I was there, on a very cold night, I stayed with them for the whole night. I wanted to have this experience with them. And then after that night, I said, oh, God does not exist because of this suffering and this horrible situations and conditions where they live.
Yeah.
But then started also in my heart some kind of a very intense feeling of, okay, so you go and take care of them.
Eu larguei tudo, larguei família, larguei estudo e depois de 2 anos depois eu pedi ao meu bispo para que eu pudesse de fato viver com eles. O bispo me pediu 2 anos para que eu rezasse e nesses 2 anos então muitas pessoas foram se agrupando em volta de mim e aí sim, eu nunca tive desejo de fundar comunidade, nem de me consagrar a Deus, não. Eu tinha apenas ser um homem casado com meus filhos e cuidar da minha família. Mas foi um convite muito forte de Deus que eu não consegui abandonar. E aí foi quando eu recebi ordem do bispo, aluguei uma casinha de 4 cômodos e fui viver com Alexandre, Marcelo, Miguel e Fabiano. 3 meninos e eu, para fazer uma experiência de vida como São José a cuidar de Jesus menino.
Okay, so at that time, I wasn't thinking about having a community or start a community, actually. And I just wanted to be a father. But then I slowly but surely started to think about, okay, abandoning all my dreams of maybe getting a diploma, becoming a doctor, or having a regular family. living with them, I started to think, oh, maybe that's my life, to be their father, their dad, actually. So they moved in to a little house together.
Yeah.
He managed to adopt some of them at the beginning, but also he went to the bishop of the city of Petrópolis, and the bishop was very welcoming. And the bishop invited him, Antônio, to have a 2 years period of reflection, discernment, and prayer. So he would listen to God's voice about this idea and this experience that he was having.
E foi uma vivência, foram os 4 primeiros anos foram muito difíceis, porque era uma adaptação, e eles nunca tinham tido pai, eles agora tinham pai, os 4, e eu larguei a instituição e começaram a chegar novas vocações à comunidade, e aí sim eu fui experimentar a pobreza, a vivência cristã, mas eu fui experimentar uma felicidade que ninguém até hoje consiga tirar de mim. A alegria de responder a Deus, sim, pode contar comigo. E hoje, já fazem 35 anos que reuniu, hoje nós somos um total de 400 em torno da comunidade. Ela hoje mora numa residência muito maior, ela hoje tem muitos amigos, como tem a Mega agora, como tem o pessoal de Chicago, como tem muitos bispos e papas, e ela cresceu, mas o mais interessante, o amor principal do meio dela, que é os filhos, esse é o carisma, isso não se pode perder. E é o que eu mais tenho todos os dias. É isso.
Yeah, so at the beginning, he had, the first years were really tough, really difficult, especially because many of these children were orphans, and they didn't know how to relate to a father figure. So at the beginning was an adaptation process, but he then started to feel strongly and strongly the idea, okay, I am in this path, God is calling me to be their father. And also he managed to gather around him a lot of good people, not only the bishop, but many other people. So, and today it has been 34 years since the community began. There are about 400 people among volunteers, consecrated people, couples, and children. We have they have a much larger residence at the moment, many friends in various places around the world. Very good priests are very close to the community, bishops. They managed to meet the Pope more than once.
Wow.
So it has grown, but still the most interesting thing, the most important thing remains the love for these children and being for them father and mothers.
Yeah. Can I ask the question, how would you describe the charism and the mission of the Child Jesus community?
Antônio, como você descreveria o carisma e a missão da comunidade Jesus Menino?
O carisma seria esse acolher, defender e cuidar. Acolher, defender e cuidar da criança com deficiência que seja abandonada e que seja totalmente órfã. E a espiritualidade totalmente de Nazaré. Como Maria e José está à disposição no presépio, que é essa casa, para cuidar de Jesus Menino e ser uma luz hoje para as famílias, para a situação do pró-vida nacional e internacional e ajudar o evangelho a ser difundido na igreja. Esse é o maior propósito da comunidade. Hoje, nós sabemos, Júlio, que nós temos uma contribuição a dar à igreja, com o testemunho, com o meu testemunho também, com os consagrados também, mas mostrando a inclusão, a vida que cada um desses meninos tem para contribuir para a igreja. Mesmo eles sendo totalmente abandonados, sozinhos, sem referência familiar, eles são o maior sinal do carisma hoje para a sociedade.
So the charism would be to welcome, defend, and care for children with disabilities who have been abandoned and are orphans. The spirituality is totally of the spirituality of Nazareth, the city of Nazareth, like Mary and Joseph, to be at the disposal of the church to carry for Jesus' child once again, and to be a light for families around the world, for the whole world, and for the children, for the church, a beacon for the pro-life work nationally and internationally, and to share the gospel. So we have a contribution to give to the world, I believe, with the testimony and showing the inclusion, the life that each of these children has for the church, even though they are poor, they have nothing, but they are the greatest sign of the world today.
Absolutely. Wow, that is very profound. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. If you can believe it, it's time for our first break. We will continue our conversation with Tonio and Júlio of the Child Jesus Catholic Community. We'll learn more in just a moment, so stay tuned.
Always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning, because really you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at artchicago.org/schooljobs.
Catholic Charities' Lost program was created more than 40 years ago to help survivors of suicide wherever they are in the grieving process. This nationally recognized program continues to offer a safe, non-judgmental environment where survivors of suicide can find community, direction, and resources for healing after suffering the devastating loss of a loved one. Online and in-person services are available for individuals, couples, children, and families of all faith traditions. To learn more, call 312-655-7283 or email loss@catholiccharities.net. Don't suffer alone. We are here to offer loving outreach to survivors of suicide. Contact Catholic Charities today.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office, and I'm here with Antônio de Mello, the founder of the Child Jesus Catholic Community in Petrópolis, Brazil. This is a home and a family for those who have been excluded and abandoned. The community is made up of 46 children, young people, and adults with intellectual and physical disabilities. We also have with us Júlio Egrejas, a lay missionary who works with this community. In our last segment, we were learning about how Antônio, who is the founder, was first called to develop this home, was asked, "Will you be my father?" And we heard about the charism of this community, echoing and following the example of the Holy Family in Nazareth. This is truly a Holy Family of its own. Maybe not a traditional family, but a family nonetheless. So now that we've heard from Antônio, and thank you very much, Júlio, for providing the translation from Portuguese. I wonder if, Júlio, you could tell us a little about yourself. How did you learn about this community? And tell us a little bit about your own lay mission experience that led up to this time.
Okay, sure. A Antônia, ela me perguntou sobre a minha experiência e como eu conheci vocês. Okay, so I met the community many years ago.
Júlio.
Ela me perguntou como é que eu conhecia a comunidade.
Marcelo, vê se Marcelo entendeu a pergunta. Júlio,
Como é que eu conheci a comunidade, Tony? A
Júlio,
pergunta que ela fez para mim.
é que o meu
Tá me
congelou
escutando?
aqui a imagem de vocês.
Ah.
Tá conseguindo, Marcelo, acompanhar?
Do you hear us? Do you hear us, Megan?
I can hear Tonio, yes.
Yeah. Tony has some problems with his connection. He didn't listen to
Júlio, agora
the last
voltou, mas
question.
congelou a imagem.
Ah, tá. Você tá me escutando?
Agora tô.
Tá, ela perguntou para mim como é que eu conhecia a comunidade. Ela pediu para eu explicar minha experiência com a comunidade Jesus Menino.
Sim,
Tá, eu vou
que
explicar
legal.
agora. So, Megan,
Tá.
sorry for that. So, I met the community many years ago. Actually, I remember as a teenager, I used to go to the same clinic where Antônio went for the first time and met some of his children. And I was 13 or 14 years old. I was in my process of conversion. And I do remember someone older than me. And I like to believe that this person was Antônio. I'm not sure, but I like to think that it was him. When we crossed some of the information, we were talking about the same years. So I met the community many years ago, but then I left Brazil. I went to many other countries as a missionary, as a Catholic missionary. But then I came back to Brazil some years ago, and I managed to go back to find Tony after many years
Subiu e não voltou já.
and be with him for Antônio está escutando você. And be with him more in terms of working together, actually.
Yeah.
So as a missionary, I met so many different people, so many different organizations within the church.
Yeah.
But I'm quite sure that I haven't seen anything like the Jesus Child community.
Yeah.
It's an amazing work they do. As you were saying, it's an amazing work, but not only a work, it's truly a charisma. It's a community that have been touched by the Holy Spirit, I believe. So they live together, they have prayer together, they have a life of commitment together, and they many times they insist and they say many times, we do not only care for these children, but we live with them.
Yes.
It's a life together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met them many years ago, but I started to work with them or for them I would say 3 or 4 years ago.
More recently. Yeah.
More
so
recently.
then I mentioned that you have an organization called Betania Solidarity Services. So I wonder if you could say a little bit more about what type of work that entails, and you work with the community through that organization.
Yeah, I provide services for Catholic organizations like the Jesus Child Community in many lines of operations. For instance, we have all the setting up donor programs for these organizations, and that's what we are doing with them. And I'm really happy to share with you guys that we already have a program set up. But I think we're going to talk about that later. But yeah,
we'll get into those details a little later on.
We do.
But yeah, I mean, in order to do this kind of work, you do have to have resources. There's
absolutely
a lot of needs.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe we can talk just a moment with Tonio about what those needs might be. You know, you mentioned, of course, it's a beautiful thing that there's no shortage of people who live in this home or members of this family, but there are others too that have joined the community you mentioned as well. I mentioned consecrated men and women and a chaplain. So I wonder if Tonio could tell us about those who have come into the community who are not his children.
Ótimo. Tony, ela está perguntando agora por aquelas pessoas que foram se juntando à comunidade. Não as crianças, não os filhos, mas os consagrados, os casais, os voluntários.
Como foram? Como eles chegaram?
Como eles chegaram, né? Como foi acontecendo isso tudo.
O testemunho, ele foi acontecendo de boca em boca. Por isso que a gente vê que a comunidade é uma obra de Deus. Porque não tinha internet, não tinha podcast, não tinha canção nova. Tinha pessoas que falavam uma para as outras do que estava acontecendo em Petrópolis, acontecendo na comunidade, e eu vejo que Deus mandava, e elas foram se aproximando, porque Como eu participava de grupo de jovens da diocese, a diocese se uniu muito à juventude para querer viver também aquele desafio. E eles também trouxeram os pais deles. E os padres também vieram junto. Então, claro que nem todo mundo aderiu. Os 4 primeiros anos foram muito difíceis da própria igreja aceitar. Porém, a resposta veio dessas pessoas, que elas foram tocadas pelo Espírito Santo a estar perto da gente.
Julio.
Diogo.
Yeah. So yeah,
The
the testimony happened by word of mouth. It was a work of God, actually. At that time, there was no internet, no TV, no podcast. There were just people who announced their experience with the community. So people would gather around us and live our life for a day or longer. And then they would spread that word with their friends. They got closer when they heard about the experience. At the beginning, a lot of young people got closer, but also they share with their parents, friends. At first, it was more difficult. Antônio already mentioned that the first 4 years were difficult, but then slowly but surely it started to grow among other people.
So who are the people today who are living with the community?
Antônio, quem são as pessoas que hoje vivem? Quem são essas pessoas que hoje vivem com a comunidade?
Hoje na comunidade vive os casais, famílias consagradas a Deus, famílias em experiência e famílias consagradas já, com seus filhos vivendo dentro da comunidade. Fora da comunidade existe mais umas 23 famílias que também comungam o mesmo espírito e vêm aqui 2 vezes por mês a estar na comunidade. Existem os vocacionados consagrados e existem os celibatários também já consagrados. E existe mais uma equipe de uns 100 voluntários que não trabalham direto dentro da comunidade, que fazem eventos 2 vezes por ano e vêm aqui fazer fraldas para as crianças numa pequena fabriqueta que nós temos. E temos o Conselho de Administração, que também são voluntários. Os diretores também são voluntários. Temos os padres, que celebram, que vêm da diocese celebrar. Temos o diretor espiritual, que nos assiste. E temos mais 46 funcionários pagos, cada um na sua categoria, que são os agentes que ajudam a manter o trabalho junto dos filhos. Então, por dia, dentro de casa, nós somos 100 pessoas. Dentro do sítio, nas diversas residências e escola, 100 pessoas.
Yeah, so today the community is home to couples, families that are consecrated to God, but also families that are living a experience period. Some of these families, some of these couples, they have their own children. Some of them live in the community with their children. And they have also families that are living outside of the community, around 25 families, sharing the same spirit.
Yeah.
There are also celibate consecrated people, and also people who are discerning their vocation to take part of the community as consecrated people as well.
Sure.
About 100 volunteers, and they work along with us, organizing events, and also making diapers, as you can imagine.
Yeah, day-to-day care
in the community. The board of directors are also volunteers. Priests from the diocese come to celebrate as well. They have one spiritual director appointed by the bishop. And they also have paid collaborators, around 46 collaborators. So every day you will find around 100 people living in the community. And the community is a big place with around 12 little houses.
Yeah.
So yeah, around 100 people.
That is amazing. It is a community. It's truly a big family.
It's a community.
Yeah.
It's like a little city. Yeah, it's a big family.
Sounds like it. Absolutely. Well, okay, it's time for another break. We're about halfway through our interview already. We'll be back in just a moment to talk some more about the Catholic community of the Child Jesus in Brazil. Please don't go away.
I am a seminarian.
The church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office in the Archdiocese of Chicago. You're listening to WNDZ 750 AM. I am talking with representatives of the Catholic community of the Child Jesus in Petrópolis, Brazil, which is near Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. We have the founder, Antônio Carlos Tavares de Mello, or Tonio, as he's better known, and we have Júlio Egrejas, a lay missionary with 30 years of experience who now works with the community to develop support. And we'll learn a little bit more about how you develop that support in our next segment here. So in our last segment, we were learning a little bit more about how Júlio and so many others have gotten involved in this community. It's a large community, over 100 people on any given day, both volunteers and paid staff who are working with and living together alongside the members of the family. It sounds like this really truly is a labor of love, focused on engaging and supporting the dignity of every member of the family and truly celebrating life, which I think was mentioned too. I wonder if we could ask Tonio next. Can you please say something about some of the challenges of living and caring for your family? How is it difficult to provide the holistic care of living together with each of your sons and daughters?
Quais são os desafios de cuidar dessa família, né? Que tipos de traumas ou de dificuldades que os filhos têm, que vocês veem? E que quão difícil é fornecer um cuidado holístico integral para cada um deles.
Eu vejo que com o tempo a comunidade cresceu espiritualmente E se ela não crescesse espiritualmente, ela não suportaria os desafios que tem o dia a dia. Então, eu, como pai e fundador da comunidade, eu tenho uma alegria dobrada, uma felicidade dobrada, e eu sempre disse que aqui eu nasci e aqui eu vou morrer. A minha vocação paterna é para o resto da vida. E eu vejo que um dos desafios é levar o chamado e trazer novas vocações. Famílias, pessoas, jovens, que queiram se comprometer a viver com eles, a morar conosco aqui, no dia a dia, a dar a vida. Isso é um desafio, porque as pessoas querem o belo, as pessoas querem o bonito, e as pessoas dentro da igreja, elas querem somente, muitas das vezes, só o louvor e o imediato, aquilo que passa. Então, as comunidades são muito grandes, mas as obras de caridade, às vezes, têm poucas pessoas. É um compromisso com a vida que eu tenho. Então, primeiro desafio, as vocações. Segundo desafio, finanças. Mantê-los não é fácil, porque nós escolhemos não viver de convênio, não viver integrado a nenhum movimento político, e sim da graça e da providência de Deus. Então, são 35 anos, todos os dias acordando com muita dificuldade para saber o que nós vamos fazer para ter e pagar as contas naquele dia. Isso é um grande desafio. E hoje, um outro desafio pessoal é ver a dor deles, dor das sequelas que ficaram de crianças provocadas de aborto para nascer. Então, ontem eu vi o Adria chorando muito, 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 com problema de ar muito forte. E o médico dizia, é consequência da droga que a mãe usou durante a gravidez. A Ritinha, nossa, que tem síndrome do álcool fetal, uma criança super agitada, estou aqui com uma mordida dela que ela me deu no dia da nossa filmagem aqui, que hoje ainda está todo vermelho, ela nem sabe o que ela fez, mas uma criança totalmente nervosa por uma mulher que não teve consequência para gerar ela. Então, isso também para mim hoje é. Depois veio o Alexandre, que a Mega viu aqui agora, ele hoje tem 50 anos e tem Parkinson. Aquele menino pequenininho, jovem de 15 anos, hoje tem 50 e tem Parkinson. Entende? Então, outros que andavam hoje não andam, o Felipe e o Alex não enxergam. Então, viver nessa dinâmica também é um desafio.
So I see that over time, the community has grown spiritually. And if it were not so, it wouldn't be able to withstand the challenges that we have. As a father and a founder, I have double the joy, and I have always said that I was born here and will die here. My vocation as a father is forever. One challenge is to bring new vocations to live with us, to live with these children, and to give life. Because I've seen that people want things that are beautiful, things that are pretty, and sometimes even within the church, we want immediate things which soon will pass. Sometimes I see few people committed to charitable work in the church. The second challenge that I would mention is financially, our finance, because we do not live on a health insurance plan, some of us, and we don't have any link to any party or any politician, and we live only thanks to donations. So every day we wake up with great difficulties and to pay the bills every day and go along the whole day without worrying too much. Another personal challenge is to see some of my children's pain due to the consequences of attempted abortion, because many of them suffered attempted abortions. For instance, yesterday I saw one of my sons, Adrian, suffering and coughing a lot with shortness of breath. And the doctor said that this is clearly a consequence of the trauma he suffered or he underwent in the abortion that he suffered. Or Rita, one of my daughters, whose mother was an alcoholic. And today we can feel the consequences in her. Or Alexandre, the one you met at the beginning, he's 50, and today he has Parkinson's. Also a consequence of the abuse he suffered as a child. So these would be the main challenges that I could share with you right now.
Well, absolutely. I'm certain that the medical needs in particular and some of the accommodations that would be necessary for those with physical disabilities could be very expensive. And each
Absolutely.
member of the family, each child needs something different, I'm sure, as well. And so there isn't any, kind of way to kind of simplify it because it is a diverse family, and each child deserves a dignified and whole life, a life of being loved. I think this is, Júlio, where your work comes in. You mentioned that your organization does help to develop support for Catholic organizations and missionary works like this of the Community Child Jesus. So, and there are some plans for sustaining and growing this community. So I wonder if you can tell us about, what kinds of works you're doing, and a little bit about this new donor program as well that you've been working on.
Great. Antônio, ela está me perguntando sobre o programa de doadores e como eu estou ajudando a comunidade. Okay, so yeah, we sat down with Antônio, me and my friends, my team in Bethany Solidarity Services, and we managed to set up a very, in my opinion, obviously very interesting and beautiful recurring donor program. And that's what we do as Bethania. We try to understand about the organization, to understand deeply not only their economic needs, but first and foremost, who they are, their spirituality, their charisma, their mission. So that's what we did with the Jesus Child community. And we are happy to announce that we have put together a very interesting plan, a very interesting program. And the name of the program is the Magi Donor Program. And why is that? Because, we know, reading the gospel, that the Magi were the first donors to Jesus Child. And it's interesting to see that they were not just people, okay, I'll give you money and see you, bye. No, they were really honestly linked from within with this baby, starting with the stars. They saw this shining star and they were moved. And that moving, that experience made them cross a very long itinerary to get to Bethlehem and adore this baby and give him his gift. And many times we do not see or we do not think, but let's remember that Jesus or Joseph actually, who was he received from the angel a advice to not go back to his origin or to Nazareth, but rather to flee to Egypt. And it's interesting to think that, okay, maybe many of those gifts were really a good help for the Holy Family in those years of distress and difficulties. So that's more or less what we are trying to share with people that are interested in being donors. Not only be a donor, but try to be a wise man or a wise woman. And bring not only your gifts, but bring your heart and be part of this family. So the idea is not only, again, to have donors, but rather to be a part of this family, to feel with them and to do mission with them. But of course, maybe not as a volunteer, maybe not as the founder, maybe not as a consecrated man, but rather as a donor.
Right.
So that's pretty much the idea.
You can donate your finances, but you donate your heart. You spiritually live alongside the community. I can see that, absolutely.
So whoever will be part of the program will then receive a lot of videos, newsletter, photos, sharing news about the community. We will try to make the donor, he or she, to feel that they are really part of our family.
Wonderful.
That's the idea.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's time for our last break now, but we'll be back in just a moment to conclude our conversation about the Catholic community of the Child Jesus. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Catholic Charities Loss Program was created more than 40 years ago to help survivors of suicide wherever they are in the grieving process. This nationally recognized program continues to offer a safe, non-judgmental environment where survivors of suicide can find community, direction, and resources for healing after suffering the devastating loss of a loved one. Online and in-person services are available for individuals, couples, children, and families of all faith traditions. To learn more, call 312-655-7283 or email loss@catholiccharities.net. Don't suffer alone. We are here to offer loving outreach to survivors of suicide. Contact Catholic Charities today.
I am a seminarian.
The church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
At Catholic Charities, we want to remind you that we are here for anyone who is a victim of domestic violence or anyone who has a concern about someone they think may be a victim. Domestic violence affects millions of people each year, both women and men, of every race, religion, culture, and economic status. It includes physical, psychological, and emotional abuse, inflicted in both subtle and overt ways. The impact on children can be devastating. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence and you are looking for a place for healing and recovery, call us at 773-935-3434 in Cook County and 224-430-4977 in Lake County. A safer, happier tomorrow can begin today.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office, and I'm here with Antônio de Mello, the founder of the Child Jesus Catholic Community in Petrópolis, Brazil, a home and family for those who have been excluded and abandoned due to having intellectual and physical disabilities. We also have with us Júlio Egrejas, a lay missionary and collaborator with the community who's working to help develop support for this mission. Now, those of you who are with us on YouTube will see we've been featuring the website for this organization, but those who are listening can learn more about Comunidade Católica Jesus Menino, or the Catholic Community of the Child Jesus in English, on their website, which is, their web address is the Portuguese name, Comunidade Jesus Menino, and I'll spell it out, ComunidadJesusMenino.org, ComunidadeJesusMenino.org. There are videos and news pieces from all over the world sharing the good news of this beautiful ministry on their website. And of course, there's a place for you to donate as well, if you're interested in getting involved. In our last segment, we were talking about how we can develop those magi donors, those who will be providing their gifts like the three wise men did, and to become part, in a sense, of this community. So that brings us to our last topic, which is that I understand the community of the Child Jesus will soon be having an event here in the Chicago area to raise awareness and develop friends and people who may want to become Magi donors, supporters for this ministry. So Júlio, I wonder if you can tell us about an upcoming event and how people can learn more and potentially participate.
Ela está perguntando sobre o próximo evento que teríamos em Chicago. Eu vou explicar mais ou menos como é que vai ser.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Megan. Yeah, we've been invited to Chicago last month by your office, actually, to participate, to visit some of the parishes. And we were so well welcomed, and many people were so interested about the work that the Jesus Child community does, that we thought that might be interesting to have an event specifically directed to raise awareness about the community, but also about our recurring donor program. I'm sorry to say that we don't have like a date yet. Our idea is to be there at the end of October, but we're still looking for where exactly and when exactly. So what I would say is please visit our website, comunidadejesusmenino.org, and as soon as we have both dates and the where, place, we will then we will upload to our website. The Magi Dono program will be there. And the idea is to share with you more about this program once we are in Chicago. So I'm sorry to say we don't have the date yet or the place, but as soon as we have it, we will share with you in our webpage.
Sure. Now there are other supporters of the community here in the United States, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Where are they located?
Yeah. So the community has grown in the last years, not only to the United States, but to many other countries like Portugal, other countries in Europe as well. The headquarters is here in Petrópolis in Rio de Janeiro, but for the last, 10 years, many other countries have been, Antônio has visited many other countries, invited by bishops or by priests or friends, and then he managed to again gather around him and around the charisma group of people from all these places. So in the United States, we have friends in Chicago area, in Florida, also in the East Coast around Washington, Maryland, Arlington diocese as well. They have been really generous with us also.
Sure.
So yeah, we're planning maybe as the same way we're trying to do the event in Chicago, maybe we will have some other events in other places in the United States as well. But they all we will then announce all of them on our webpage.
On the webpage. That's where you got to look for it, folks. I want to mention too, now that you said we have friends here in Chicago, yes, you absolutely do. You certainly do in our office. But one friend I want to make sure that we mention here today, Glenn Treblecock, was instrumental in connecting us. He is a parishioner at St. Clement Parish in Chicago, and he was the first to reach out to me and my office to determine if the community could participate in our mission appeals this year. This was your first visit here for mission appeals at least. And so it was thanks to Glenn and his wife who have that connection. They've been volunteers, and I'm sure as you're able to develop this program, you'll have more donors, supporters, friends, and potentially volunteers too as time goes on.
Sure. And Megan, please, let me take this opportunity to not only thank you for being so welcoming, so kind with us, with Antônio, with his children, Marco Aurelio and Alex, but also the entire Archdiocese. We are really thankful. We are grateful. We haven't found anything but smiles and open arms. We are really touched and edified by what we found in Chicago. So thank you so much.
Well, I'll just say I'm sure it has a lot to do with the nature of the community. You reminded me now, I got to meet the two of you in person and two of the members of the family, Marco Aurelio and Alex, and they were wonderful too. It was such a wonderful meeting. I'm sure that their smiles are a part of why we've been so happy to welcome you here. Now we just have a minute left, so it'll have to be a very brief comment from Antônio. I want to give him the final word of hope and what he wants us to know here in Chicago about the community. Very brief.
Antônio, brevemente, é o último minuto da entrevista. Ela quer saber a sua mensagem final de esperança para o mundo, mas também para a comunidade em Chicago.
Eu agradeço a Mega, uma alegria estar vendo ela novamente, a sua alegria. E agradeço a Diocese de Chicago por ter sido a primeira que nos respondeu nas segundas doações nesse ano. A abertura que a Diocese nos deu, as 3 paróquias nos acolheram muito bem. é a nossa esperança para o final do ano, essas doações que estão vindo, que nós não temos outro dinheiro para o final do ano que não fosse essas doações, então chegou numa hora muito grande. E a esperança para o mundo é: nós queremos ser vida, família e fé. E aonde nós pudermos passar e deixar essa mensagem, nós vamos levar. Eu vou com expectativa quando eu viajo para esses lugares, Marcha pela Vida, Chicago, Washington, eu vou com muita esperança de conseguir também novos benfeitores, novos doadores. Mas a minha maior alegria é conseguir corações para Deus. É conseguir que as pessoas se convertam a ouvir a nossa história. Então essa é a minha mensagem, e que o mundo possa nos conhecer para não só nos ajudar, mas também ser ajudado, né? Porque quem se aproxima do amor e a caridade tem o céu por completo. Então agradeço a Mega por isso e pretendo me encontrar com ela em outubro novamente. Obrigado, Mega.
Thank you, Megan. So I thank you, Megan. Thank you again. Thank you, the Archdiocese of Chicago, as you have been the first to respond to us, to the Jesus Child community, for this the mission appeal, the second collection. Our hope is also that these donations that we're expecting to receive we really need them. So thank you so much. As the community right now is going through a difficult time, with some urgencies, and his message would be a message to the world about let all of us be to the world, for the world, live, and to protect our families and all families, and to announce our Catholic faith. Wherever we go, we will take this new message. We will take the message of the gospel. Every time I travel to the United States, I go with hope, both for donors, of course, but mostly for hearts that will be converted through the grace of God upon hearing our story. Whoever approaches the love that we might bring through our kids and children, we hope that they will also transmit and take with them along their lives to the whole world.
That love, absolutely. Well, I just want to point out, for those of us who are watching the video, we can see Marco Aurelio there in the background with Tonio. He was one of the lovely people I got to meet. Hello there. Hola. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Tonio and Julio and Marco Aurelio. Your dedication to those who've been abandoned and forgotten, and those in the peripheries of society, shows your commitment to Christ's mission. Thank you. Don't forget, folks listening, Comunidade JesusMenino.org. That's the website that you can go to. Thank you very much for listening, and remember, always be on mission.